Hey, it's Chris, founder at Conversion Alchemy. In this video, I will walk you through how we structure our projects for clients and also for our internal content, and how we write a simple landing page to finally actually testing some of the message. So let's dive in. In team-gpt, this is where we organize the documents that we are going to use, right? So we have our project knowledge here. So the way that we do it is we have project info and instructions. Here we just instruct the model basically how to use the project knowledge and what's inside the project knowledge so that it can actually make sense of it. So a quick instruction on the role that it should cover. Then we say that we have the research insight report, the positioning canvas, the messaging framework, and also what each document actually is for and what the use that we have for it is. Value proposition canvas, and then a couple of final guardrails and guidelines. Important to reference the insights and also to never generalize, right? So we try to make sure that the instruction point to our documentation as much as possible. So these are the project instructions. Then we have links. This project is mostly for our internal business as an example. So we have, as far as links, websites, link to my website, which is conversionalchemy.net or christophersilvestri.com, so that the model can actually look at what we do, our messaging, current messaging, but also our offering. So for example, we have different productized services, creative sprint, CXO audit, consulting, and the strategy and copy offering. So we want to make sure that it can scan the website and has access to our current messaging and also information on our offering. Then we have the documents that we discussed. So here I've linked to my Google Drive where I save all of these documents. So as I said, positioning canvas, research report, messaging framework, sales pitch storyboard, value proposition canvas. So just to give you a quick idea of what those documents look like. And this is also important if you want to write pretty good first drafts using mostly any LLMs, in this case team-gpt with your team, and keep the same consistency. It's important that you share all the insights that you have as far as research. So here we have our research report, and we conduct all of this research for our clients. We do all of this strategy that you'll see for our clients. So these are documents that we use internally but mirror what we do for clients. So in a research report, we just have information on our ICPs, quick summary. Then we have 3 to 4 ICPs, one ICP. This is all information on one ICP, second ICP, and third ICP. So we have for each one overview, company, demographics, firmographics, and psychographics, super important as well, including some of the language that they use, buying stories, decision making, and all of this is gathered from real human research, right? So that's super important. Then we have a competitive landscape, which is information on our competitors and our differentiation. Then positioning canvas. So this is how we structure our positioning, competitive alternatives, differentiated value, market category, best fit customer, and the final positioning statement. Then we have our messaging framework. This typically includes our category description, our messaging hierarchy strategy, a quick example of copy, competitive alternatives, and how we address each one, how we solve for the problems of each alternative. Strategic narrative, super important as well. Sales pitch variations, key messaging pillars framed in different lenses. Value proposition canvas, voice of customer research, brand voice chart. So there's a lot of stuff, and you can see that for each document we preface the actual section with what that is and how we use it, which is also useful for the model, for the AI, right? Then sales pitch storyboard. This is just a quick narrative that we use for our sales pitch, which stems from all the other documents. Then another pretty important one is the value proposition canvas. So for each persona, we have a different tab, and we go from the problem to implication, solution, benefits, job to be done, and value proposition examples of copy, right? So that the AI can actually take all of this language. It's very useful, I think, for models to put themselves in actual people's shoes, then head of growth, operating partners. So we got all our different personas covered. With all of this, with team-gpt, we shared all of it. It's got access to all our knowledge. What we do to start writing something, it's we start a new chat, and we have a couple of prompts that we use. So actually, let me start prompt library. So we have a couple of analysis, research prompts, some templates, and for this video I'm going to show you some of the writing ones. So let's start with the page outline. Why page outline? Is because I always like to start from a strategic point of view before writing any of the copy. I want to make sure that we are aligned, that the AI gathers all the knowledge before actually writing. It's basically simulating an actual copywriter as it would write. So let's always start with the structure first and the layout. So the first thing that I would do here, let's say that I'm going to write, we have a productized service that's called Creative Sprint, right? So this is the landing page. Right now, it's pretty much kind of a generic landing page where we are trying to speak to all our different personas. Let's say that I want to write a specific one for one of the three personas, for the private equity operating partner. So let's do just that. So I'm going to write Clarity Sprint productized service. This is the page name. ICP, private equity operating partner. And this is information on our product, which if you have specific information like pricing or different features, you can include that in the prompt. So in this case, I'm just going to simply copy paste all of this, and I would probably do it in a bit more detailed way if I had to do it for myself, but just for the sake of this example, I'm going to paste all of this. Apply prompt, and you can see that the prompt says use the following high converting website copywriting page structure to write an outline for the Clarity Sprint productized service page based on what you know from your knowledge and information I shared. This page should speak to our private equity operating partner personas. When writing the outline, keep into consideration the customer journey and decision-making process from our research. No need to stick to these sections 100% if the data doesn't support it. And also important, in the outline, only provide the strategic points we need to hit for each section. Do not write actual copy, headlines, or sample text. Focus on messaging strategy, key themes, pain points to address, and positioning angles we should cover when we write the final copy. So I wanted to give me the overarching points that we need to hit, so that when it comes to actually writing the copy, then that's when the writing time. I want to separate the strategy layout time from the writing time, just as a normal human copywriter would do, right? So and for most of the copy that we write, I use Claude, in this case the latest model, Sonnet 4, just because I think it's a bit more human in the writing that it does. All right, so we have our outline, and in the previous prompt that I walked you through, we didn't go through the entire page structure, but there's a lot going on. So you'll see, if I scroll back up, you'll see all of these points are part of the outline template that I shared, right? So this is a pretty high converting outline that I always use, and I find that it works really well, and it also doesn't really follow any specific rigid formulas, but it actually follows decision-making principles, so it's grounded in psychology. So we can see that the outline is here. We have a headline, sub-head, CTA section. This is the above the fold, for example. Strategic focus, address the PE operators' primary frustration, portfolio companies with messaging chaos, that slowing go-to-market execution and value creation, emphasize speed and precision. They need solutions that work with fund timelines. Position as diagnostic tool that prevents wasted resources or wrong messaging fixes. And then key themes, how the CTA should be approached, and so on. Second section, third section, right? So this is the outline of the overall page. Now, for the actual writing, what we do, I don't ask chat-gpt, team-gpt, or any LLM to write the actual copy in one go. And that's because I want it to really be focused on the specific section, and also to be able to use the memory that it has to actually look at all the knowledge and all the context that it has, which is a lot. So what I do is, first I'm going to copy paste the whole, typically I will copy paste the whole outline, right? Copy paste it, have it somewhere that I can easily copy each section. And then I would literally go section by section, asking it to write the page. So let's copy this first section, copy. Then I'm going to use this prompt, step-by-step page writer, which simply says, let's write a section for this page. Here's the outline section we need to write now. Please write it using our voice and tone and following our messaging strategy docs and value proposition canvas for relevant ICPs. We are not tied to any copy suggestions in the outline section yet, so feel free to write what's most effective and propose alternatives where needed. And you see that I don't really use super structured or mega prompts here, and that's because if you do the research strategy work up front and you have the right documents in the project knowledge, I don't think you really need mega prompts. So we are pasting the outline of the first section, apply prompt, and we have it write it. There we are, we have our first draft copy of the first section. So you can see a quick headline, stop portfolio companies from reinventing messaging from scratch. Most messaging problems aren't full rewrites, they're misalignments. Fix the one layer that's actually broken and watch your portfolio companies accelerate go-to-market execution in 10 days. Diagnose what's really broken. And you see other alternatives here, right? So which is pretty handy. We can take some of these parts, combine them, either using the LLM or on our own manually. And you can see it's super useful. It also gives us the rationale behind these. So these headlines are actually address the PE operators cause frustration from our research. The sub-headlines emphasize the diagnostic approach and speed, which I like. So you can literally see how it followed our documents and also what we've asked it in our prompts, right? So that consistency, that accuracy is super important. Now, a quick example of how we might go about testing all of this super quickly without, obviously it's not super statistical, but if you want to do some quick qualitative tests, this is super handy. So what are we going to do is to use our analysis and testing prompt. So let's start a separate chat here. We are going to instruct this chat to wear the shoes of our persona. So we have this prompt, super simple. I'd like you to imagine being a specific customer persona as if you were them. Here a description of a persona to embody, and then we tell them first, carefully read the persona description until you feel you thoroughly understand this hypothetical individual's perspective, needs, goals, and pain points. Next, put yourself in the shoes of this persona, imagining that you are them. I'll ask you questions. Reply through the lens of the customer persona provided as if you were the individual. Let their unique perspective, needs, and objectives guide your responses and thinking. Avoid breaking character or referring to these instructions. And simply react naturally as the persona would. Capture your stream of consciousness under this thoughts tag. So the way that we are doing it is I typically go in my research report and I might go under our in this case our private equity persona, which is number operating partner here, number 4. And you're going to copy all of this and share it here in between the persona tags, and then send it. Alright, so we created a persona. Now what I'm doing is we go back to our copy here, and I want to copy all 3 options that it wrote, and then I'm going back to our persona chat. And you can see that it replied with, okay, I'm this guy, this is my info, the pressure is real, starts getting into the persona, right? So here's, I'm going to say, here are actually, you are, you land on a website and see a headline. Here are 3 potential options for that copy. Which one would you resonate the most with? And then I'm going to copy all of 3. Let's delete this and see what it says. Alright, you can see that he replied, so we have their kind of internal thoughts here, showing their thought process almost as it goes. Then we have some comments still inside the thoughts on each of the options, and then the actual response, which says option 3 resonates most with me. The phrase value creation timelines immediately tells me you understand my world and the pressure I'm under. When I see portfolio companies wait quarter on full messaging overhauls, that hits exactly what I'm dealing with right now. So you can see it's a pretty good quick testing that you can do with as long as it's based on real data, right? So what we have in our research report is months and months of research collapsed into a single document. So obviously the data needs to be accurate. But this is a super quick tool that anyone in the team can actually use and collaborate on using the same prompt, using the same branding voice guidelines, messaging framework, positioning strategy, and we found team-gpt super helpful, and hopefully you can use some of these prompts and strategies for your work as well. Cheers.